Good morning, everyone. Happy rainy Monday, right? Tuesday. My daughter was sick yesterday, so I don't know, up from down sometimes. Excellent. Well, thank you all for joining. Again, I'm Caitlin. I work at Box. For those of you that aren't familiar with Box, we work with government agencies as well as general customers, focusing on unstructured content. And within our public sector, we are leading with security and compliance and an AI-first mindset at the highest security standards. So we are working in AI models with FedRAMP High authorized, DoD IL4, zero trust strategies, and really focusing on how 2 years ago we woke up and Gen AI was a thing, right? We woke up and ChatGPT was here, and how do we actually take the immense amount of unstructured content that lies within every agency, empower people to use it in a safe and secure manner. And we know that we are entering an AI-first era. We just heard a lot around metadata, and there's so much information and metadata living in this unstructured areas. We heard, just a couple minutes ago that we have AI agents that are joining our workforce. Maybe they're eligibility agents, maybe they're bilingual agents, people that are essentially giving every person a master's degree. We know that most workflows can be automated, whether it be a contract application, whether it be any sort of policy and procedure. We can really automate a lot of things that took a lot of time and put a significant cost to our agencies with manpower that could be used for other things. We also know that everyone desires to get more information out of their data. They want to take that 200-page document and say, quickly summarize this, or what matters to me as a person. And ultimately, we all have the same goal. We all work in public sector because we want to solve the problems of our neighbors, right? This is why we do this every single day, and we want to improve experiences, whether that be improving healthcare outcomes at the VA, to help our labs to get data research faster. All of these things come to matter. We also assume that everyone that is coming to work every day, we're assuming good intent, they're using AI in a way to do things right, but we also want to make sure that they're doing it in a way that is safe and secure, that we are protecting all of the information that is being shared with us, so that data governance, that data retention, that data disposition becomes so much more important. And we know content is at the center of everything we do. We have process applications, we have projects that we're all working on. I'm sure, how many people have at least looked at a PowerPoint today? I know I've looked at 3 or 4, documents. We're receiving so much unstructured content. We are using these for legal use cases. We're using these to drive patient outcomes. We are looking to do this for hiring and onboarding, as well as collecting evidence. So there's a lot of things that are considered unstructured, audio files, video files, especially when we're thinking about security and compliance. This is in AI. This is where we really start to lean in more of having those. And again, most of our content is underutilized. About 10% of any content in an agency is about 10% structured and 90% unstructured data. And this is really where the untapped value is. This is where you can actually understand trends and behaviors and how do we actually drive faster and more positive outcomes. The biggest thing that we're seeing around our customer conversations is around metadata and the ability to take metadata extraction from a document and actually build out policies and applications to drive better results and outcomes. And we're doing it in that safe and secure manner because we want to make sure when we are uploading a document that maybe has a ton of information around an agency that we're not just putting it into some sort of unsanctioned tool. We want to put it into a tool that understands the zero trust philosophies, isn't training on our information, is really understanding who we are and protecting that, but also empowering us to move forward. I would say my team and I, we are spending most of our day talking to agencies about AI and our philosophies around security and compliance. And if you aren't leading with security and compliance when reviewing your AI standards, you got to start there. You have to understand how the language learning models are actually being programmed. Can you actually choose a model? Can you eventually bring your own model? This is something that's becoming really popular. And then how do we actually generate insights to create savings? How do we do cost consolidation? How do we actually understand information that's going on? So, I'm going to go ahead and put this in and tell me what's going on with this roadmap. Tell me if Jane is eligible for additional benefits. I'm a new employee. How do I request time off? There's a lot of things that actually save time and effort. You also have the ability to get intelligence from your data, being able to say, every contract that's uploaded, if you extrapolate that information and it's greater than 50,000, let these 5 people know. Let's actually have that review and approval. Let's send it out for signature. Let's make sure that we are preventing any sort of sharing with it because, oh, by the way, it contains PII and PHI, so let's block external sharing. Let's keep this inside the agency. Let's let somebody look at it on a computer but not a phone. You really have to get really granular while still empowering people because we know AI is here, it is here to stay, and that's great, but let's actually use it to grow what we're doing in that safe and secure manner. In addition, the one thing that we're also seeing a lot of is around actually setting and looking back at that 90% of that unstructured data and saying, okay, do we need to look at our data retention policies? When were all of these contracts signed? The thought of having to sit there in a filing cabinet room for months on end, putting every date of when a contract ends, you can now do that in a matter of minutes. Extrapolate all of that. Okay, less than 7 years, we're going to add that data retention to make sure it stays in place. Then let's go ahead and make sure we archive it so that we can ultimately share it with where we need to and do it programmatically using AI. So really, as we think about our security and compliance, we always encourage everyone to ensure that it is within that FedRAMP High. We know we're moving towards FedRAMP High first, in that DoD IL4, asking about those zero trust strategies, the language learning models, all of these things, and especially about what's happening to your data and ensuring that they're not training on your data in any way, shape, or form. So we'll be here a lot to talk about Gen AI today. I know there's a lot of other really great sessions, but we'll talk more about this. And as we start to think about it with Box, you'll hear more about this today, but it's how do you actually create content with a brain, right? I have content in probably every partner here is information, but it all resides within Box. So it's actually being able to get stronger and understand trends so that we're not having all of these data silos. Because when we have data in a silo, first we have concerns around that security, about what's happening with it and who's using that. And then secondarily, we want to make sure that it's all working together, because that's really how you get to see the holistic story of what's going on with all of these incredible use cases that you all are doing each day. So it's, again, making sure from the moment of ingestion of any piece of content through its entire life cycle and journey that you're enabling and empowering and ultimately archiving any of that information in the future. If you have any questions or want to talk about this further, my team and I love to chat with you, so feel free to pop by. And we look forward to talking more this morning. Thank you, everyone.